Hi, welcome. It's episode 34 of the 90-day website mastery podcast, the perfect companion to the 90-day mastery program. It's the 34th episode. We're excited to bring you even more valuable insights and help you enhance your website's performance. Join us as we explore strategies to make your website work harder for you, reigniting your pride in your online presence. We want you to feel proud of your website. That's right, isn't it, Pascal?
We do indeed. And can I just say thank you very much for people who reacted to my LinkedIn post earlier in the week when we announced that we're going to go live today, because it's been one of those tough weeks. Tough but enjoyable. Lots of workshops, conference speaking, consultancy on the wonders of AI, blogging, and of course websites. So it's just lovely to kind of end the week in your company and in the company of our viewers and listeners, as we're going to go through our 4 segments to find ways, simple ways but very powerful ways, to make sure your website does more for your business, for you, as you heard a moment ago from Jonny, for you to feel proud of your website again.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you joining us and listening and giving us feedback. It keeps us going, and we enjoy this space. It's really important for us and for you, because we want you to feel proud of your website. So we've got 4 segments. As always, it's the You Ask, We Answer. We've got website stories. We have the website engine room, where we'll share an app or a piece of kit that's going to help you as a website manager or website content creator make your life easier. And of course, we always finish with the website call to action. How can a piece of content not have a call to action at the end? Well, we make sure it always does. So let's get started and start with You Ask, We Answer.
Now, this one question, I have to thank, one of my recent coaching clients, because they are really at the source of the idea for it. So we're having conversation about the key component parts of a website, talk about promotional content, we talk about social content. If you're intrigued, go and check out our webinars, because we do deep dive on that. And we spoke about the importance of demonstrating your expertise via a track record, and the way in which you can kind of craft case studies and testimonials. And his reaction was, listen, I'm very keen to add case studies and more kind of validation on the website, but I'm worried that quite simply the competition will simply use that to almost formulate their own little hit list of companies to approach. They're going to steal and scrape the content from our case studies. And actually the conversation went beyond that, which is, well, how do you protect any content on your website? But so the challenge is, and I would love to hear your perspective, is we need to demonstrate expertise. We need to demonstrate that we've done this before. Case studies are important, but how can you craft them in such a way that you don't just make life easy for your competitors to take the name, to kind of do a bit of research on LinkedIn and beyond, and approach your customers and say, I can do it too, and maybe cheaper?
Yeah, and I've seen this happen. So I understand the concern. I think some of this is about having confidence in your products and services, and if listening to feedback. And I always remember on Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, if 16 people are telling you your soup's crap, then your soup's crap, and you need to do something about it. So there is an element of actually having confidence, and I've been in exactly this position where people have approached my clients and will have got that from case studies, from my connections on LinkedIn. But my clients have been good enough to let me know. So I am proud of my services. But I also hear listeners and viewers right now saying, yes, okay, you can still be great, but if they come with a better deal, or there's always time to change. So you can protect, and so I guess that's along the route of anonymizing, maybe just using first names and not using a full name of the person that's given a testimonial, or the person that's given that client review case study, and perhaps just mentioning the industry or the sector of the client instead of having the logo. I think it's a difficult one, because I think having the logo and having that depth brings a huge element of trust. Whereas if you're not bringing that, you're protecting yourselves, but you're not having quite as much of the trust element. So I think it's about finding a fine line. But I guess the instant response, Pascal, for me is, first of all, have that be confident about your products and services, and you can go down the anonymization route if that's what's your experience with this?
The same. In fact, a customer of mine rang me many, many years ago saying, "I need to tell you that actually one of your attendees came to see me, armed with your handouts and your kind of slides, and say I can do it too cheaper." And it was just the most surreal experience. So I have some sympathy with it, but we need to find a way to build that trust and build that confidence. So I like your idea of, well, let's name the industry or even the subcategory within the industry, but I think it's all to do with how you shape the case study. Is it that actually it's more interesting to understand about the challenges that you faced and the solutions that you came up with? That can be quite innovative. That could be just as informative as the naming, if you will, of the very business that you dealt with. But way in which you can do that, particularly, I would say B2B, would be to kind of relate it more to maybe the kind of membership organization they may belong to. So you could talk about a member of this institute or a member of this federation approached us with it with this challenge, and you can find ways to story tell, what you've done, the before, during, and after in such a way that is informative. But then you mustn't forget that you have an amazing section on your website called the blog, if you still want to use that term, that can really, really help you as a platform to talk about, share some news and react to the news in that industry in particular. Because my kind of philosophy is we're going to go to market with intent. So the case studies are there to as part of a dedicated approved sales strategy about we're going to be more visible and more credible in this particular subsector. So your blog is a wonderful platform as well to share the news about that particular sector you want to talk about the solutions, talk about also what's happening and so on. So within, if you like, the context of the entire website, not just the case study element, there's going to be many, many ways in which you can do that. And then my position that would be to almost kind of put the competition off is to then have a joint announcement or a joint press release. So you and your customers are telling the story of what has happened in such a way that the established relationship is seen to be so strong that would be quite a turn off for your competitors as well.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that just increases the trust, doesn't it? And having a client come out and talk about the relationship that you've got is fantastic. I just should welcome, by the way, we are live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Instagram, and we've got some people watching right now. Thanks for being here on Instagram because we've been testing and trying that platform. But yeah, let us know where you are. You might be listening to this on the podcast or even the replay afterwards. Thank you for being here. But the question that we're debating is, we've got these case studies, we've got client logos, and we've had that question: how do you protect yourself from competitors approaching those clients? So I think we've covered some good ideas there about anonymization, about using first names, about just using the sector or the industry, and also going into depth on the blog, not just on the case study, but on the blog about how you've come up with, these are the typical problems that we see, these are the typical solutions, this is the typical impact that we can achieve. And I think that's all brilliant. Pascal, there was just one thing that I wanted to mention, because we've called this episode "How to Safeguard Website Content" and from competitors, and I think it's important to mention from one of the questions that I get asked quite often is, you spend a lot of time and effort on a particular piece of content, you put that on the website, and how do you stop someone just copying and plagiarizing and using that? And the beauty is that if you're optimized correctly on your website from an SEO point of view, Google sees the date and the time that content was on your website. And if it sees the same content somewhere else, it references the date and the time as who was the first publisher of that content. So you're sort of protected from quite a good way from certainly a Google point of view. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that, Pascal, because similarly, I get questions around competitors copying content.
No, absolutely. Thanks for that. So, everyone, have you found an innovative way to protect or suddenly, make it such that your content is not, ready to be just stolen by others? How do you find a way to share your track record without making life easy for the competition to essentially have a hit list of prospects to go after? It'd be fascinating to hear your stories from your own perspective and your own industries.
Let us know. And for now, let's move on to website stories.
Now, in each episode of the Website Mastery podcast, we choose an article, a podcast, an infographic, something that can help us reflect on what it means to run a website in today's economy. And we've chosen a video, short one, but it's a very good one from the channel called TubeBuddy. One of their journalist video creator attended the annual YouTube conference and was reporting on an announcement that I think is going to be very, very interesting for us to reflect and react to. The title is as follows: YouTube CEO announces major news for small channels. And very, very quickly, you can understand that this is all about helping small channels get more visibility. In short, they have introducing slowly but surely across different territories, as they call them, a new feature called Hype, HYPE. And this is designed for small YouTube channels with less than 500,000 subscribers, which is pretty much one I can think of that I deal with in a kind of business context. I think if you do something for leisure, for entertainment, you get to that number very, very quickly. And I suppose for me, what I like about it is that timely reflection from Google, who owns YouTube, about the need for small channels to get more recognition, more visibility when the feeds, particularly because of the kind of imperfect algorithm it just fed with all the populist and popular content. So the way it works is viewers like you and I would get 3 hypes per week. So we can essentially help 3 videos per week. And what you will see on small channels is a new kind of symbol and icon alongside the sharing and the subscribing and so on called hype. And you can do that 3 times a week. And the idea being that the more hype points given to a video, the higher this video will get onto a brand new leaderboard called hype. And actually they're introducing a new tab, so there's going to be some new habits to get into and a new tab to get comfortable with. They've done some beta testing in Turkey, Taiwan, and Brazil. So people can say why. I say why because of the large population. And I'm sometimes reminded that in the UK, suddenly we're not that big and that important any longer. Just quite humbling. But it being that, a solution to a problem created by YouTube itself as a platform, but also because of actually of the imperfect algorithm. So hype, a new way to support small YouTube channels. But then the conversation and the reaction I want to invite from you, Jonny, is can we hope that this kind of desire to help smaller businesses and smaller content creators will translate also across maybe search, maybe across Google Maps and more. So I like it. I like it a lot, of course, but I'm hoping that it's a change that we may see even on social media platforms like YouTube and LinkedIn and more.
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? That small businesses are finding it tougher and tougher to stand out. Even just look at Meta and advertising on Facebook, on Instagram. You've got to have big bucks now for things to work. And so it is great to see YouTube owning this and saying, look, we realize that small businesses are suffering here. That's why we've introduced this new hype solution. I think what's going to end up happening here is that we're going to start having to add call to actions to the end of our videos that aren't just subscribe or like, but make sure you're hypers as well. So I think we'll start seeing some of that. But I think in terms of other platforms, so search, SEO, it's been a problem for a long time that bigger organizations dominate in search. They've got better backlinks, they've got better domain authority. So then it comes down to how well you can do locally, how well you can do from a personalization point of view. It was nice to see Google launch personalization many years ago, and they've really developed that hugely, so that they are trying to promote more local businesses, more businesses that you've already shown an interest in, perhaps you've already got connections with, in some kind of data points that Google have. So I think it's great to see the recognition that small businesses are being squashed to some extent, and certainly hype is a really positive way forward on YouTube, and I'd like to see it across more platforms.
Yeah, one platform that I'd be very keen to see it is that Google My Business, Google Maps. Many years ago, during a Google conference, they had suggested that Google Maps could become almost like a social network, where a group of people could get together and favor and kind of promote their favorite places and favorite services and so on. And that never really came to fruition. So we shall see. But watch this space, So YouTube was the first one out with a solution of sort. We'll see whether people want to do the hyping. It's going to become a new verb and so on. And can we see a rollout across all the digital platforms? Because It's not getting any easier. All the conversation that you and I have with our customers is the stats are not great, and it's tough sometimes to keep yourself motivated when you feel like you're swimming against the current. So yeah, this is a nice breakthrough.
Yeah, for sure. On that note, let's move forward onto our next segment, the website engine room.
Now, in this segment of the show, Johnny and I love to introduce a new app, maybe a new solution, maybe a new piece of kit that can make life easier as a website manager and content creator. So, Johnny, what is your selection for the website engine room?
So this week, the focus is on businesses that have some kind of product online, some kind of SaaS solution. Maybe you've got some kind of portal or some kind of something that is an online solution, and how to demonstrate that, but also how to apply some training to that area as well. So the app is called storylane.io. It helps companies build and share interactive product demos with their prospects in under 10 minutes. It allows you to share your story visually to engage your audience and boost conversions. It's a great way to be able to produce a far higher quality screen share that's very polished, that's got, the right type of pop-ups and arrows, and allow you to really demonstrate a product, an online product, really easily. So yeah, it was a great little find that I had with a client not so long ago, and just wanted to recommend it. So it's storylane.io. I was just double checking. Yeah, it's storylane.io. So that would be mine for this episode.
Timing is perfect because I've got a meeting next week, and this I'm going to introduce that as part of our discourse because it is tough sometimes. Because what we do, whether it's a website itself or the website content, is we try and invite somebody to imagine a near future where things are different, and that with us things are going to go well, and sometimes all we see are just claims after claims after claims that things are going to go well. And people need to be more than that, and I think visual storytelling is very, very important. Now, there's one thing that you and I've discussed many a time, which is that if only we would know and could hear and see what it's like for visitors to go on our websites, that kind of insight into behavior, into also what they seem to have understood about us or what they seem to remember about us is so vastly important. And indeed, you can, if budget allows, do focus groups. And actually, what we have found, because I've done many of them myself, and you have as well, is the focus groups. You do get a biased view because people spend too much time rationalizing their perceptions and views about a website. Now, there is an online tool that's just been released by Google called Notebook LM, and LM standing for language model. And Notebook LM first was invented, if you will, to help you summarize a number of documents about a specific subject. And what you could do with your AI-powered assistant is query those documents, get an understanding of what it is, and you get some summaries, and you can upload Google documentations, you can upload links to a number of things. But the way in which I've been using it more recently, Notebook LM by Google, is actually simply copy and paste the URL of your website or URL of a particular part of your website, and simply wait for AI to summarize what they have understood based on the content present there. And it's very, very telling because the summary sometimes is actually very powerful and can be used almost as is for an about us section and more. But sometimes you kind of go, oh, that's not really what I had in mind when I created this content, or that's not what I had in mind in terms of this website. I want people to remember or understand more of this and less of the other. So if you have some imbalance, that can be very helpful. So this AI platform literally will visit, inverted commas, the website and report back to you what it seems to have understood about your offer, about your kind of values and that kind of things. That's number one. So you get a good written summary. But the other thing that is very, very powerful is you get an audio summary. And this is the one that people can see Johnny smiling because he's done the test already. If you watch the video format, the audio summary is a mini podcast between two people. Now, I grant you, these are bots talking to each other, but the voices, the intonations, and the interaction is so human-like that it's a pleasure to listen to. But also, it gives you, again, an appreciation of what if two customers, two prospects met at a local pub, local cafe, and discussed what they understood of your website content. This is what Notebook LM can provide you as market intelligence via essentially an assistant. And then there's many use cases for that content. But for me, the written summary and the audio summary is what we've been almost hoping for, which is, if you were a first-time visitor, what impression would you have of my website, and what would you retain in terms of the information? And then based on that intelligence, can you go in and adjust that content accordingly?
Yeah, it's quite a wow platform that you introduced me to. I had a little play the other day, and I am very excited to see where this is going to go. But I love the use case that you've just painted, which is, let's just paste our website URL, see what the language model says about it, and it gives you some really interesting insight from a, as you said, you can read about it or you can listen to it, where it's as if two people have got together and start talking about you. And we're talking about, we're talking about this within seconds as well, aren't we? It only takes a minute or two for it to literally compile that audio and play it back to you. So yeah, interesting to see where that platform goes.
Absolutely.
And I like it a lot. Thanks, Pascal. So that was our website engine room, where we shared a couple of apps that's going to help you as a website content creator, website manager, start feeling proud of your website. But also, ultimately, this is about sales, isn't it? It's about selling more. It's about engaging more, whether that be current clients or previous clients. Let's move on to our final segment of this episode, the website call to action.
Now, in this final segment, we surprise each other, we surprise you, our viewers and listeners, with a one change or one adjustment that can make a big difference to your website. So, Jonny, what is your website call to action for today?
So I'm going to talk about voice search optimization. Now, I've talked about this before, but not on this podcast. And the reason that I bring it up is because you'll have noticed in the UK that that Google is rolling out lots of AI in its Google search, and a lot of that generative AI is based on voice search as well, voice search data, and so it's a lot more conversational content. It's a lot more longer tail keywords, and really trying to, this isn't new for some of you that are listening, but I expect that actually knowing the clients that we work with, knowing the sort of the range of clients that we work with, these questions still come up all the time, and the obvious things aren't always that obvious. So we want to be at the top of Google for the best word in the world, because that's what we sell. But actually, we really need to be thinking about, what are our clients' questions? What are they typing into Google? What are they asking? And more importantly, what are the younger generations using, for example, on voice search, for example, on other platforms, not just Google? They're using search on TikTok. And so it's how you're using that conversational language within your content and focusing on those sort of longer tail keywords. So my advice for you for this week, the call to action, is to really stand back about what it is you're trying to sell, what it is you're trying to, what the products and services are, and really home in on what might your clients be asking if they were looking for solutions that you offer. Not what would they type into Google, not what would be the one or two keywords, but what would be the sense, what if they were going to ask someone, a personal assistant, if they were going to ask a personal assistant to solve one of their problems that you have a solution to, what would they say to that personal assistant? And that would be my call to action for this episode.
Ah, this is so good. That relates back to what we discussed, with the previous segment as well, because this is where AI can help you stimulate your imagination about, remembering actually those moments where you had the interaction yourself. So, that's very important to go back to real life conversations. But also, what is lovely about some of the AI platforms, I've mentioned on the show, that could be from ChatGPT to Perplexity and now Notebook LM, is that they make suggestions about those questions as well. You could also go onto Google and look at the box that says services people also asked and that kind of things. So it's really important to have that. And we learned again, because we don't talk to each other, we prepare separately for the show, but I've got something very similar, which is this idea of a targeted product or services FAQ. So back to questions people ask. And this one is important because I have noticed, I don't have any hard data to back it up, but I have noticed that search engines, particularly the AI summaries that they seem to be crafting as part of the top level bit where you see, seems to like a lot FAQ content from website. There seems to be a trend going towards that. So let's ride that wave as long as it may last. So my recommendation would be to make a list of your sales objectives, and be clear about the product and services that you want to sell more of in this next quarter or 6 months of the year. And then what I would do is use your AI assistant to give you some ideas about the likely questions, the likely objections, really important, the likely objections that they might have, the likely doubts and concerns. And what I would do is even do that across a range of personas. So maybe if you don't have them, start with the personas and then use them to interrogate your AI assistant platform for ideas for the likely objections, the likely questions, the likely doubts and concerns, but also aspirations and wishes. You need to kind of go deep diving into that. And then you'll have a lot to go after. You don't have to use all of it, but that is where you need to then repurpose those AI kind of suggestions and content into the ultimate FAQ for a particular service or a particular product. That's going to make your website shine in terms of content and usefulness, but also this idea of being the extension of your customer care ethos. But also, since ultimately, even though they are produced by AI, they are AI summaries, forgive me, they still need content from the interweb, as I call it with affection, and that comes from your website. So to have the kind of the ultimate service FAQ on your website is going to give you many, many wins moving forward.
Fantastic. What a jam-packed episode, as always. This was episode 34. We've talked about how to safeguard website content from competitors. Listen, don't be shy of sharing case studies and even clients' names and logos. But if you really do have concern, you can anonymize. That's what we've talked about. So, don't be shy of that. Watch out for the new hype that's coming on YouTube to help small businesses, to help smaller accounts. So make sure that when you're watching this on the replay and the hype button appears, make sure you click the hype button. We've shared a few tips and apps. Of course, it was AI related. We're loving AI, aren't we, Pascal? It's ingrained into us now. That's a wrap for episode 34, the 90-day website mastery podcast, your audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, where you can book a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. It's goodbye for now. We'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage to enjoy whilst you review your notes and action steps. And make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends. I was about to say tweeters, Xers. I still haven't quite got that, X or tweet. But anyway, More importantly, we love feedback. Let us know what you think. What else would you like on the show? What do you want us to explore? What questions do you have? But more importantly, thanks for being there, and start feeling proud of your website again. We'll see you all soon. Cheers, Pascal. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.